served as the chief executive for the city of Manchester. And local government is different in our state. In Manchester, we don't have a city manager. So it was my job to develop the annual budget of $400 million. I negotiated contracts, managed all of the city departments and nominated city department heads and city commissioners, and was chairman of both the school board and the board of mayor and aldermen. And when you think about a chief executive, it's all about setting priorities, building trust, and getting things done. And as mayor, I set the vision for our city and worked hard every single day to build a stronger community. And after over 10 years of Republican mayors, I was able to get Manchester back on track by creating opportunities for our residents. And I will tell you, after 8 years of Republican leadership in Concord, I am ready to get this state back on track. So I'm a fourth-generation resident of this state. Grew up in a blue-collar household. My dad was an IBEW 490 electrician. And when I think back about my childhood, I know I was so fortunate to grow up in this beautiful state with two loving parents. But it wasn't always easy for us. There was a time when I was young where my dad actually had to move to Wisconsin for over a year because there were no jobs available for him. And that feeling of my father having to leave us has stayed with me. And it's why I've always focused on supporting our hardworking families and ensuring we have good paying jobs in our community. And I delivered. I helped hundreds of small businesses open, brought in hundreds of millions of dollars in economic development, and today Manchester has one of the hottest job markets in the entire country. And these jobs, they're creating opportunities for residents across our state. And I'm always looking for ways to move our city and state forward and prepare us for the future. As mayor, I took climate change and rising energy costs seriously. We built the largest municipal solar array in the state, saving our residents money. And because of that solar array and other initiatives we put in place, we were able to cut carbon emissions by 60%. Leadership matters. We should be doing this in communities across our state. So as governor, I'll ensure that we put forward a policy that promotes renewable energy and sets clear goals on transitioning away from fossil fuel, because it's a smart thing to do to save our families money and the right thing to do to preserve this incredible state that we live in. You know, and as Maggie mentioned, Manchester is now home to an emerging biomanufacturing industry that will revolutionize healthcare as we know it. And I helped lead an effort to apply for a very competitive federal grant, and Manchester was the only municipality in the entire country to win. So we have $44 million. Coming into the city to build out lab space, provide workforce development, and it's creating 7,000 new family-sustaining jobs. But that was just a start, because as you heard, Manchester and Nashua were deemed a tech hub, and recently received another $40 million to really boost our local economies. So this is a game changer for our state, and we can be doing this in other areas in our state as well. Which I look forward to doing with you. But in order to really make sure that we are addressing this growth and encourage additional growth, we need a prepared workforce. And for me, that starts with quality public education no matter where you live. I first got involved in public service when I ran for school board. At the time, I had 3 young kids. Today, they're 27, 25, and 20. It was a little bit ago. But I wanted to change the direction of Manchester Public Schools, and it is still what drives me today. I know that quality public education leads to thriving communities and creates opportunities for our kids and their future. My daughter Sarah is here today. I'm going to totally embarrass her. But she's in her 3rd year teaching at Hillside Middle School this year. Yay. My husband Mike and I are tremendously proud to have a public school teacher in the family. And I'm glad that Chris asked for the teachers to raise their hand here. And there are many of you here, and I want to thank you for all that you do. I know how hard you students and their families. And in Manchester, we were able to make tremendous progress when it comes to student achievement in our public schools, despite the downshifting from the state that's burdening all of our local communities, a dangerous voucher program that's taking millions of dollars away from our public schools, putting them toward private and religious schools, and an education commissioner who is doing everything in his power to dismantle public education in New Hampshire. Who was right? As governor, I'll ensure that our public tax dollars go to our public schools. And on day one, I'll be asking for Frank Edelblu's resignation. And a critical way that we need to support families is to ensure that they have an affordable place to live. And as you heard, we worked around the clock to address this in Manchester. And today there are over 2,000 housing units in development. I allocated over $30 million toward affordable housing projects. And we just broke ground this past December on the largest affordable housing development in the entire state. Projections in New Hampshire are that we need 60,000 housing units by 2030. So we have no time to wait. We have to start building now so our young people, our seniors, and our hard-working families can afford to live in New Hampshire. I'm the only candidate in this race who has the hands-on experience of negotiating with developers, of incentivizing affordable housing, and working with our local communities to build the housing that meets your needs. And it's this hands-on experience that is absolutely critical to tackling this statewide challenge and getting these projects off the ground. And we need a governor who understands the statewide challenges when it comes to homelessness, substance use disorder, and mental illness. And in Manchester, we wrapped our arms around these challenges because it was the right thing to do, but also because we got very, very little support, if any, from the state. So in Manchester, what we did, we opened up the first city-run, city-funded shelter in the winter for fatality prevention. And you know, that shelter is still open today, and it's full. We hired experts, a director of homeless initiatives, and a director of overdose prevention. We opened up an engagement center where many of our nonprofits are now under one roof. So someone can go in, get a shower, get a meal, and immediately be connected to services. And I got the National Alliance to End Homelessness to come into the city of Manchester to work with us. Their mission is to prevent and end homelessness in our entire country. They're working with the city of Manchester now to make sure our programs are best meeting the needs of the most vulnerable. And I know that housing is adding complexity onto these issues, and it's why I am supporting a housing first model. When we know when we put a roof over someone's head, we can stabilize them, wrap them with the services that they need, they'll be on a better path to getting well. And we need to look at that in the state of New Hampshire. People are staying far too long in the shelters. We need to get them onto the next path in the continuum